Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a mystery that's literally 4,000 years old, the hunt for the oldest comet ever recorded.
Okay, so where does this all start? Well, it begins with a pretty bold claim. We have these historical accounts that point all the way back to ancient China, suggesting they have the world's oldest record of a comet. And the year we're talking about? 2296 BC. Just let that sink in for a second. That is over 4 millennia ago. We're talking way before the Roman Empire, before the first Olympics. This is around the time the Great Pyramids in Egypt were just being finished. And the story goes that a comet lit up the sky and somebody, somewhere, took note.
But, what does a claim like that actually mean? How in the world do we even know about it today? Because, spoiler alert, it's not as simple as finding some ancient scroll with the date stamped on it. Oh no, the real story is way more interesting than that.
So here's the crucial thing you've got to understand. We're not talking about a physical artifact here, like a clay tablet. We're dealing with a tradition, an observation that was passed down generation after generation in later writings. Think of it like a powerful cultural memory, which is a very different thing from a piece of paper we can actually carbon date to that specific year.
So to really get a grip on this, we have to ask a really basic question. Why did ancient people even care so much about a comet in the first place? Why were they looking up so carefully? For us today, right, a comet is just a cool ball of ice and rock. But for them, it was something else, something way more dramatic and way more mysterious.
And that's what brings us to their whole worldview. You see, for ancient Chinese astronomers, a comet wasn't just some interesting thing up in space. No, it was this powerful symbol that would just appear out of nowhere in the sky.
Okay, and check this out. This is what I find so cool. The name they gave comets was broom stars. And that's not just, some poetic flair. It's incredibly observant. Think about it. With no telescopes, no modern tools at all, they came up with a name that perfectly captures that visual of a comet's tail sweeping across the night sky like a broom. It's basically a piece of scientific data hidden right there in the name.
And because these broom stars showed up without any warning, they were taken very seriously. This was serious business. In ancient China, the whole idea was that the heavens and what happened on Earth were deeply connected. So a comet, that could be an omen, a message straight from heaven, maybe signaling a big political change or disaster or danger. So yeah, watching the sky wasn't just a fun hobby for them, it was an official duty of the state.
And that, right there, that's exactly why these ancient records became so incredibly valuable over time. Think about it. When watching the sky is literally your government job, you're going to keep careful, regular records. And those records are going to be preserved for a very long time. All that dedication basically created this priceless archive for all of us, thousands of years later.
So all of this brings us right back to that original claim, the one from 2296 BC. Now that we have all this context, you can probably see why historians don't just take it at face value. They approach this idea of an earliest record with some really important, really specific questions.
And this slide just illustrates the key difference perfectly. It's really two kinds of earliest. On one side, you have the ancient tradition, that story of a comet in 2296 BC, passed down through the ages. And on the other side, you have the oldest surviving document we can actually hold and look at. And that's this amazing silk manuscript from around 185 BC. And it actually shows drawings of 29 different kinds of comets. So yeah, both are early, but in totally different ways.
So if you look at this timeline, you can really see how the word earliest can get a little tricky, right? It could mean that traditional sighting way back in 2296 BC, or it could mean the earliest confirmed sighting of a specific comet we know and love, like Halley's Comet, which was recorded in 240 BC. Or it could mean the oldest physical document we have from around 185 BC. All of them are super important milestones in astronomy, but they're all different things. So when historians ask all these questions, it's not because they want to just dismiss the tradition, not at all. It's because they're trying to understand it with more precision. They're like detectives, peeling back all these layers of memory and stories being copied in different interpretations, all to get as close as they possibly can to what actually happened. It's fascinating historical detective work. So when you step back and look at the big picture, the real story here isn't about one single, maybe disputed date. No, it's about something way bigger. It's about this incredible, long-running scientific practice that went on for millennia. And at its heart, their process was actually pretty simple, but really powerful. It all starts with step 1, just paying attention, noticing something new or unfamiliar up in the sky. Then step 2, you record it. You describe what you saw so other people can know about it. And finally, the crucial step 3, continuity. You make sure those records are preserved and passed down through the generations. I mean, that simple 3-step process, when you do it diligently over centuries, that is a serious form of science.
And here's where it gets really fascinating. A little twist. Even though their whole motivation was based on looking for omens, the actual practice of doing it produced incredibly valuable data. How? Well, think about it. To report an omen from the heavens, you first had to observe it accurately. You had to get the details right. And it's that raw, careful observation, once you separate it from the whole omen interpretation, that is absolutely priceless to scientists today.
All right, so let's bring this all home. How does any of this connect to us, right now, in the present day? Well, these ancient observations, they're not just dusty old historical facts. They are echoes from the past that are still making waves in modern science.
That incredibly long, continuous set of data is what makes this whole tradition so important. It lets modern astronomers do some truly incredible things. They can actually track the orbits of comets, like Halley's, back through centuries and centuries of sightings. They can even use these old records to double-check their own complex calculations. It's amazing.
So in the end, that 2296 BC claim, whether it turns out to be a hard, verifiable fact or more of a foundational memory, it almost doesn't matter. What it does is point to the absolutely extraordinary age and the deep seriousness of this human drive to understand the cosmos. It really represents the very beginning of a conversation with the sky, a conversation that, we're all still a part of today.
And that really leaves us with one final thought, doesn't it? It makes you think about our own place in this incredibly long chain of observation. I mean, all the data we're collecting right now about our climate, our planet, the stars, that stuff is going to be the ancient records for people 4,000 years from now. So the question is, what story will our records tell them?